perspective of having worked and lived with Aboriginals in Australia, and so talking also about the impact of Yangwana or Kava in Aboriginal communities. And I'm sure that those of us in the audience will also be able to add perspectives. From the health perspective, for example, we have Fifi with us, and I'm sure she'll be able to add a lot of value in that area. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Stella.
Thank you, Naka, for that. But, I guess to begin with, even though both Stella and myself represent our own communities here in Canberra, but we are also representing our peak organisation, which is ACT Pacific Islands United, as you realise that we were covering yesterday, PEW. Okay, and that is what we are here today, is really having that discussion or that conversation, or the Talanoa in regards to the Kava. 2008, throughout our whole Pacific Islands Showcase in the National Multicultural Festival, we've always had the Kava in to open up our Pacific Islands Showcase. We even had Minister John Hargrave present while we opened the Kava. Fijian community did their traditional one in one of our festivals, and then the Samoan community. And then we also had, the Kava was actually done when the Tongan national rugby team came here, and so we opened it with our traditional Kava, and the Tongan actually did that one. So it came up in 2009, that's when Office of Multicultural Affairs and ACT Health realised something's wrong. We need to inform the Multicultural Affairs that the Kava is not allowed, is not legally supposed to be served at all here in ACT. So they contacted the Office of Multicultural Affairs, and as you know, our National Multicultural Festival is normally held every February, second weekend of every year. And this notification from ACT Health to Office of Multicultural Affairs came in around about November. And the following year we had the, so all of our communities at this stage, not knowing what's just happened, they're all preparing, for the National Multicultural Festival. Around about end of November, I got a call through ACTPIU from the Office of Multicultural Affairs that, Elena, please inform your board and your communities that we do not, the Kava is not legal, that we cannot use it for the Multicultural Festival. PIU got together shortly after that letter and that phone call, and we had a meeting. The board had a meeting. We held a forum with all the leaders and all the members from each of the communities to discuss what had happened. Most of them were represented, and the mutual feeling was that very, very angry reaction from the community. Very, very angry reaction for the mere fact that, last minute information. We've been serving Kava, back, in the 90s, in the early days of the festival, and then up to 2008, we had the opening of each year, and then all of a sudden, bang, here we go, they're telling us it's illegal and that we can't serve the Kava. So we had the conversation. We had ACT Health Chief Executive Paul Kelly attended one of the forum that we had with the Office of Multicultural Affairs and all of the PU representatives and leaders, and we discussed. Still no answer. And then just at the last couple of days before this weekend of the festival, the Office of Multicultural Affairs and Chief Minister wrote to us and say, yes, they will give the exemption for the Kava. But there were strict guidelines in regards to serving that Kava. And that was that merely only for our Pacific Islander stores only, but not to the public. Kava is only legalised under the medicine legislation, okay, but nothing else. Not even within our own homes, not even for Kava clubs, things like that. All that is illegal. How they came about in this legislation was back in Arnhem Land in Northern Territory a few years back, maybe about 20 years back. A group of the elders went over to Fiji, and they saw, they saw the traditional way that was done over there, and they saw it and they thought that was really good. Something that was, it wasn't used in a way that, that create, violence, or, people were very calm when they take the kava and things like that. So they thought they'd bring something back, and then they will introduce it to the community. From there, somehow, way along the line, the kava was not used properly within that community, in the Arnhem Land community. And so the government up there decided that they have to do something about it, because they said it was used not in a proper manner, and women and children were involved in in taking the kava. So Northern Territory put a legislation together and banned the kava usage all up. It went throughout some of the states in Australia, and of course those states, instead of doing their own consultation, what they did, they adopted the same legislation and then used it within their states. So instead of coming in there, they used it through the health system. And then here in ACT, through the health system, they've used that, and only for the tablets and things like that, if you have a prescription, that's the only way you can use kava here. Okay, we questioned that in 2010 again. Look at the law, look at where it's silent in, that you're contradicting your own law here, because you are allowed to bring the 2 kilo kava over custom when you come over from overseas. And then I asked the question, myself and the board members asked the question, how do you keep track of that then? Where's the legality of that then? At this point, during that meeting, they couldn't clarify anything with us. So now every year, even this year, we still have to request to the Chief Minister for an exemption for usage of kava in the National Multicultural Festival. PIU, Pacific Islands United, our only interest with the kava is for the National Multicultural Festival, because we based our, we actively work for the community, and we heard the voice of the community, and they would like it, in the National Multicultural Festival, promoting, our cultures. And kava, of course, as we all know, is a traditional drink in each of our islands. And that is where we stand at the moment. There's still consultations going. ACT Health is still wanting to have Talanoa about this whole thing, so that they can see what is the need, for us to actually have that in the legislation, and what are some of the things that we need to be mindful of, what they have to be mindful of when they're putting the paper together. So that is where we're at the moment, in regards to the kava.
Yes, my name is Stella David, and one of the committee members for Talanoa ACT here in Canberra. Talking about kava, Yangona and Ava, is something that's touched our identity as Pacific Islanders. And I think that's why it makes a big difference. And Elena has already touched and covered the things to do with legislation and how the government involved. But I do acknowledge the traditional owner of this land where we meet up on. So I think it's very important, because kava is used back in Tonga, and I think across the Pacific too, something that we respect the land where we come from. Or when we drink kava, in a sense, in Tonga, I say the fua kava, or the first kava, as something that we latch upon the land, that we have to look after, because where we grow our plants and our food, and we get life from that land. And in that sense, that's why they drink kava. for the land and sometimes for God and for the people. In the Tongan community, we are part of the Pacific Islands United that Elena had mentioned yesterday and talked about again today. Most of our men are having Kava socially here in Canberra, even we know the legislation. In our Tongan Community Centre, it's almost from Monday now to Sunday that the men are gathering there and have Kava. It's become an issue to us, and because of all this consultation and dialogue about the importance of Kava to our identity, and at the same time we live in a country that have a law that is against it, and it's something that we need to talk about and consult about with the community. And I think that was the reason why in this conference it's an ongoing consultation and dialogue and talk of how we can look at it and maybe not define, but explore of how we can incorporate this culture that we have and in line too with the law of the land where we live. And in that sense, I think more of what we're talking about is not to giving you more information that's been given by Elena, but it's open up for us to talk and listen to people's opinion. And what we think about it, because the next consultation with government officials and drafts of legislation in dealing with Kava, that we can take some of what we talk about today and try to push it or include in that dialogue that might help them understand that it's a very, it has been a hot issue in the Pacific Island and here in Canberra after the Multicultural Festival, where federal police comes in and stop our stall and tell our men to leave the stall. So it has been online, and there's a Kava movement that's been on where Siua has been part of it, and it's been almost taken up like in a viral. A lot of people have talked and online about this issue. But I think I'll give this time to only to give us the perspective from his side, and then I think it's open for us to talk about what we look at the Pacific Islands.
Thank you, Stella. And there are no Fijian men here except Naha, and very few people here today. So I am giving a Fijian perspective and a Christian, a scriptural perspective, and also an Aboriginal perspective. I know that in the scriptures, Matthew 26:26, it says that teaching of the Holy Communion, Jesus says, "This is my body, which is broken for you." When we take it and eat it, we are to remember him. And this is the cup of the new covenant in my blood, and that is shed for the forgiveness of sin. Do this in remembrance of me. So, the cup of the new covenant in my blood. And we see that too in the Apostle Paul's letter to the Corinthians, first letter, chapter 11, 23. And this is also Paul teaching about the Holy Communion. And also he says, as you eat the body, the bread, and drink the cup, you are remembering the death of Jesus until he comes. So the cup is a very important aspect of our Christian faith, the cup. And in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, Paul is speaking about people who eat and drink in idols, sacrifices given to idols. So he then says that you cannot partake at the table of idols and also at the table of God. You cannot drink the cup of demons and then drink also of the cup of God. And this is a teaching I had in Fiji which turned a lot of the Methodist ministers' mind. They're the worst culprits when it comes to Kava. And today, you have to come from the scriptures. Otherwise, it's the word that is sent to achieve the purpose it is sent for, not my words, not anybody's, not any researcher's word. It's a word that is scripture, that is God's word. So after that, there was no argument with the Methodist Church. So the church now bans Kava from the office, the head office of the Methodist Church. Now, of course, they all blame me. She is the problem. She is the problem. So I am the problem with the Methodist Church in Fiji. And it doesn't matter because, if you are Christian, you've got to go according to Scripture. So when I put that across, also the effects of alcohol with Aborigines. And because I am bringing teams from Fiji, bringing teams from Samoa, bringing teams from Papua New Guinea. Just last week, we just sent back 32 Papua New Guineans back to Port Moresby and the Samoans. And I ban anyone coming to Palm Island with Kava. That's the first prerequisite of people coming, no Kava. If we're going to solve the alcohol problem of Palm Island, you cannot bring your Kava there because they mix it with methylated spirits and they mix it with everything else and they die. And then the government is going to say, only she's the one killing them. I'm supposed to be saying to the government, you are killing them with your alcohol. So I'm saying here that we have to, if we have faith, and I know the Pacific, I don't know anything else in the Pacific. All I know is faith. Because from as little as I can remember, there are hymns and there are church polotu and everything in my home. My father is the chief. He drinks the Kava. And so every visitor to the island must go to the chief's house with a big thing of Kava. When I arrive on the island, the village, Lomati, the village at the bay, they pull out a big Kava for me for the sev to my father's house, because that's how it's done. I don't know who provides what, but it's done in a traditional way, in a respectful way. He drinks the first cup and another chief drinks it. It's called Rambe Tambua. So he he drinks and there's another chief sitting from another village here that drinks the second cup. So it's a Rambe Tambua. So nobody can fool me about Kava. And so my father drinks one, maybe two, maybe three, and then just does talks with the people. And when the time is finished with his talk, he gets up and goes home. And that's all I could remember. And his younger brother, there were only two of them, his younger brother said he didn't drink Kava till he was 27, his first cup. And today, when people say, it's a Kava tradition of Fiji, it's a this, I will tell you, because I come from a home where this is served up too. So when I speak on this topic in Fiji, people know my background. Fiji, not like here, I can say I come from Melbourne and live in Queensland, and nobody's, in Fiji everybody knows who you are, what family you come from, where you, everything. You're like, talk about transparency. Fiji, you're transparent from wherever. So when I speak on the topic of Kava, I know what I'm talking about. And when I'm speaking about the scriptures, I know because Palm Island cannot be saved unless I know my God. And so when I have studied and done everything here in Canberra, and I know that if I'm going to go work as a lawyer, all I will be doing is asking for a reduction of the time in prison, because the law is already made. I've got to do it from some other way that only God will. So I dumped everything here, and when God said, go back, leave everything here, go back to Palm Island. So I went back there. And at Palm Island, the pub there was making, I know, $2.5 million a year profit. There's a fish and chip shop there, run by my friends, and they make $26,000 a night on pension night. And because there's only kitchen there on Palm Island. There's 3,500 to 4,000 people here. So you can imagine all the money that's coming that way. So there's a lot of money on palm oil. And alcohol, drugs, nicotine, gambling is part of this. And of course, if I bring Kava there, the woman who's supposed to be bringing Jesus here is now introducing Kava here. So in 2010, I brought 42 Methodist, ecumenical, really, majority were Methodists, they come from Fiji, and no one was to bring Kava. The first thing is no Kava, and I explained why. So when we went there, 2 weeks, I called it the Impact Tour. We did 2 weeks on Palm Island, and 2 weeks here in Canberra to Canberra. Then I took them back to Fiji. When we came to Sydney, at the Canterbury Church, where Kava is drunk like 24/7, they expected us to bring all this Kava. 42 of us, you would be bringing a big bale of Kava for us. When we arrived, we didn't have any Kava. Do you know they didn't want us there? They didn't want us there in the church. But we stayed there one night before we flew up to Sydney. Well then, at the same time too, they had a man from their church who was picked up by immigration and taken to Villawood Detention Centre. And I heard all the conversation going on. And I said, oh, okay, can you help us with this? Make a submission. Well, I'm very good at submissions. And okay, well. And then the minister went there, and you know what the immigration officer said to them? What is Fiji doing in Sydney? What are you doing in Sydney that proves to us that your being here is good for this country? Look at the Chinese. They pick up all the rubbish from this park every Saturday. Look at the Africans. They're doing that. Every month they're doing that in that area. What is Fiji doing in this country that proves to us that you are doing something beneficial for this country? That your presence in this country is beneficial? And the minister said, I didn't know what to say. Because all I could say is, he mixes the Kava of everybody in the church on Friday night and Saturday night and Sunday night and Monday night. And I was listening to all this. Well then, I got up and I spoke very clearly. This is why you cannot do your Kava self-serving in this country. Well, that can't be said about the Fijian in Queensland, because I round them up and I make them work for the Aboriginal people in Palm Island. Serve them, make soup kitchen there, clean their houses, pick their rubbish. That's what I do with all these people. That's what I'm saying. We cannot come here and just say, we drink Kava, that's what we do best, drink Kava. Who's going to respect you for that? No wonder you come in as unskilled laborers, working, beating their foot. You need to come in with something that is yours. I am a leader of my people, and I know how to round them up and get them motivated with work. Look, the government is waiting. I was invited to this work when people said, what are you doing there? You stir up, you trouble me. Look, I wasn't even going that way. Sorok, the business women of Queensland came to me. Oni, if you could help us in one area. Help us with the Aborigines. I said, no, I can't go there. I don't even know them. I don't know what they do. They get drunk, they swear. Oni, the good friends of mine, Oni, you're the right skin color. See, you're the right skin color. They can't do that with you. You're the wrong skin color. Go there. So, after 3-4 times of meetings, Sorptimists and all the business women, Oni, please help us. So I said, all right, I'll help you. And now I'm helping them. I'm taking the Fijians, the Tongans, everybody there. And Tuvaluans, I tell you what, they're a bit self-serving up north. I need to just speak to them again. But anyway, I'm telling you, this is a Talanoa now. I'm telling you that when we are doing something, don't tell them what you're doing, just do it. They'll see the result. The government of Australia, my son told me something, he works in a mining company. He says, Mom, don't tell the newspapers what you're planning to do. Tell them what you have done and show them the proof. Thank you, son. That's what I'm doing. So I do. when they come to interview me, only what are you doing? It's Easter. Can we cover something of yours? It's Mother's Day. What are you doing? I'm bringing children from the Aboriginal community to visit their mothers in the prison. Can we give us that article? We'll cover that. So they ring me up. I don't have to go to them. They ring me up and I tell them, this is what the Pacific is doing here. We are not here to self-serve ourselves. Drink kava there, Canterbury. Kava. And when they sit down, you feel like, what are they doing? They sit down all like, straight up, looking up like that. I don't know. Look at them. What are they doing? They've come from there to here. And look what there's more here than there. And I tell you what, and you know how much it is, and they tell me how much it is. What? It's I think it's about almost $100 or something up north. And I tell you, and you just have to look at them sit down in that alofi type thing to their eyes like glazed over. I said, excuse me, my brothers now. I said, you listen, this is where you do the lotu. And this is where the lotu gets out, the Bible out, the Kava bowl there. This is the same, look, read Ezekiel. This is here, it is on your wall between them and the things they do. Here, it's the same place where you serve your God, and they'll take that Kava bowl out of here. You know, we have to take authority over these things. It's so demonic. When I see them sitting here, beat their children for not doing the homework, I said, come here, I'll beat you for not, you bring the Kava here, your kids, where will they study? You know, it is an amazing thing. I put my kids through Geelong, and I run with white people. These are heads of industries. And I tell you, I drive them. Because we're not going, she's a Pacific Islander woman, she just knows nothing. No, when it comes to anything, I speak. Oh, your daughter will not pass this subject because she plays too much piano, she sings, she plays too much sports, and she is not doing this biology. I said, thank you very much, Dr. Dunn. We go to Queensland. In a hotel for 2 weeks. You're banned from swimming until you finish all this. At 2 o'clock, I'll pick you up to go to the beach. In the morning, you do. Get up in the morning, have your breakfast, sit here in the hotel with them. Look, it's a different way. You're going to run with the white people and beat them at every step of the way. Put it on in Fiji. Hey, it's like a Sheraton hotel. Yes, that's what I work with the hotel industry. I work with the hospitality. That's what is in us. Hospitality. Put it on for them. I mean, you know, it was a husband's check, but that's all right. You do it for the Pacific. You don't do it just for myself. No. When you're going and you're mixing at that level, watch every step of the way. And don't bring kava, everything like. People come from university. Only, we have a couple of Fijians here for the Garumba, the research thing here. Dr. Leon Zhang here. I said, all right, can we have them here on Thursday night? Well, they come on Thursday night. All the university, James Cook University comes with them. You prove yourself at every step of the way. If you're from the Pacific, you're not just for Fiji, but you are here as the Forum Nations. Today, the Fiji is thrown out. And, of course, when I was in Fiji, they came. Some Solomon Islands, Papua New Guinea, Vanuatu, to Fiji, to make Fiji the big sister. This is the Melanesian Spearhead Group. They now have a big land in Sese to build their secretariat there. And Fiji is shut out by New Zealand and Fiji, Australia. Now, these Melanesian Spearhead Group, one thing they have in common, shut out Australia and New Zealand. So today, I'm just saying here, the Kava is not going to take us forward. In fact, it's going to take us backwards. Yes, it's all right. You can have it as a sevu and you have drink the first cup or the second cup. Then when it's finished, finish. It can't be 24/7. That's why they're talking about it. When I talked to police in Sydney, they said, well, we wonder where the parents are. Because the kids are, we're having problems with the kids. Where are the parents? I find out, where are the Fijian parents? They're at the Canterbury Church. I said, Reverend Nemani was there, and he's related to me. What are you doing in your church? Oh, we just drink ours. The kids are running amok, and the police are having problems. You're drinking kava. It's it's not taking us anywhere. And today I'm saying the Kava is not taking the Pacific anywhere but backwards, because the abuse of it is the same as the abuse of alcohol with Aborigines. And the Aborigines get it and they mix it, because it's only water and something else, and so they, I don't know, don't even drink Kava. So they put all this methylated spirit into it and something else into it, and I see some, when they get served up the Kava, they put another bottle of something into it. And I said, listen, the Kava is not going to promote the Pacific here in Australia. Let's go with them. And some people say, why is the government getting... Hey, the government is the finger of God. When God sees the abuse, he will bring laws through the government. Romans 13, no authority is in place except what God has put in place. So we need to abide by the laws of the government. It's for our own good. So today I'm saying, the Kava is all right. It's the people who abuse it. And the Pacific people have been abusing it. Now, it was never abused in the past because I grew up in homes where this was used. And it was very proper, and that was it. And when it's finished, everybody goes home. Today I speak at the churches in Fiji all around. After the speaking, the Kava starts. And then, you're going to come and drink Kava? No. What for? I'm going to have lunch here. And you're going to have lunch. The women are sitting at the head of the table. I said, excuse me, where is the... Oh, they drink Kava all day. What? They drink Kava all afternoon. Only the women and the children eat. Well, let's eat all the head of the fish, all the things, the stew of the pork, everything that should be going to the men is now women eating it, and children eating it. Oh, it's very good for us. There's the respect, and the head of the family is gone. And it'll be the same as Aborigines. The woman has become too strong because the man goes to prison all the time. So now, when the man comes home, he gets a big punch from the wife. So today, I'm saying Pacific people, wake up, men particularly, because women becoming too strong for hours. We're becoming too strong, and all this respect coming to us now with all this sweet stew of the pork and the head of the fish. You might find yourself eating the tail of the fish all the time, and then you never... And I know another woman who said to me that she now cooks porridge for the husband when he comes home at 2 o'clock in the morning because he can't eat the fish. He might choke. So today I'm saying the Kava is all right. It cannot be abused. It is taking us backwards. Our children, if we're going to run in this world, we gotta drive the children, not because I say drive them, but we lead the way. We're going to get a degree, we're going to get all these things. Then we tell them, this is how it's done. You're going to do it this way. When my 13-year-old failed, I took him up there. I took him every morning at 8 o'clock, I walk him up to the school, grammar school. And at 3 o'clock, I'm there to bring him down. Half an hour, you have a little snack. Rest for half an hour. After that, we do your homework for 1.5 hours. I don't drink Kava. My sister-in-law is an Australian white woman. She said, honey, you're a strange Fijian. I don't see you going to all these gatherings. I said, I'm too busy working with my children to make sure when the father is paying all the fees. My job is to care for the home, and they must have good manners, and they must have the brains. Nobody is born with no brains. We all have the brain. It's just how you manipulate the brain in a proper way. And so rewards go with. And so they all made it. The man who said she will fail biology. Well, she passed everything and got international baccalaureate, highest degree, and now they're all over the world. As I said, the last one is now graduating from Geneva this year. That's without the Kava. So today I'm saying to us, think about the Kava and what use it is really to our community in the Pacific. And if we have to let it go, let it go. We have to use it, some disciplines need to come in. And I thank you very much.
Thank you. I think this time we are all here. You can ask a question or have a comment.
I just want to make a comment. Thank you very much, sister. Hallelujah. Yes, amen. Yes, and I think you have explained the negative part of kava. And I said, yes, eat, and even eat the whole fish and the bones. Just leave the water there for them to smell the fish when they come home. But I'm talking as a person who drink kava, and it still is. And a person who have been experiencing the kava ceremony and the kava gathering as part of my upbringing. And I have to say, part of my formation, not only at home, at school, I also include elders in my community who have been giving and enriching and equipping me around the kava bowl. And also a person, I'm a minister in an Anglo, mostly Anglo congregation, and I have Mondays as my day off. And some of them, they know what kava can refresh in me, and said, make sure when you go to the conference, go and drink some kava as well, and have some relationship with your Tongan friends. And that's what I did last night. But this is what I just want to bring. I went to a kava ceremony last night after our concert. And I found most of the Tongans who were supposed to be in the concert who were, and yes, they should be in the concert to support their children. But instead of doing that, they went to the kava party. But I went there was a person who came from the island of Ewa asking for money to build a church. And around the kava ceremony, they contributed. Fortunately, arrived there, they finished collecting the money. I didn't put in any money because they already finished. They collected $12,000 to help the community in building their church. And not only that, but there are also some people who get together around the kava ceremony to raise money to help someone's school or a family who is struggling. And also, I just want to add from a Tongan point of view, I think these people can correct me in this. Kava is the foundation. Kava ceremony is the foundation of our Tongan culture. The coronation of a new king. Unless there is a kava ceremony involved, it won't be a complete celebration of a Tongan coronation. A Tongan wedding involves celebration in the church, celebration in the registry office, celebration in the family, and celebration around the kava ceremony. And the word for kava, in which we use for the translation of the covenant. Covenant is translated in Tongan for kava, the first kava. And that first kava is given to the bride, served by the groom. And that is our word for kava, for covenant comes from. That is the first kava in a wedding celebration that the groom served for the bride. And that we got our word covenant for kava for it. So I completely agree with you with all the abuses that are happening around the kava. But for the other things that I'm speaking from experience as well. And that can be wrong too, but our Tongan culture is based, the foundation of our Tongan culture is based, and I wonder if you are aware of the origin of kava. I wonder, Stella, if you allow me to tell the story around the origin of kava. It originated from a self-giving, out of respect for the king and his friends who went on fishing, and they were very hungry, and they came to an island where only a couple and their son, who was a leper, and their son's name was Kava. And they're only the leper, and there was also a kape, part of a taro tree, taro plants. And then the parents were wanting to do some hospitality. And when they ran to the taro plant or the kape, they found that the king was resting under the taro tree. And they looked around for something to offer as hospitality. And the only thing, this is during the cannibalism era, mind you. And the only thing that they got was their son. And they offered their son for the king and his friends. And the king knew about what they did. And the king said, wow, let's leave the island. And they left. And they left their son in the underground omen. And one day they came there. There were two plants. One plant grew up, and the other one grew up on the head, and one in where his feet was. And then there was a mice who came one day while they were looking after the grave of their son and bit the tree in the feet. And then it started to run like a stone Fijian, run like this. And then it came to the other side and bite the plant there. And then it ran straight to the bush. Kava and sugarcane. And they took those two plants and offered them to the king and told a story to the king. The king's name was Lo'au. And the king was said, this will be the foundation of our Tongan culture. Hospitality, respect, love. Out of those things, as a Tongan as well, really proud of my culture, which is also based on kava. And sometimes we were trying to say enculturation. Mind you, sister, we use in the Protestant church bread and wine as symbols. Symbols that can speak to us. For me, I found wine not a symbol that really connects to me. I found kava, that special offering that can speak to me in my own culture. I just want to say that. Thank you.
I guess just going on, thank you, Oni, for that clarifying, some of the, of course, the negative side of it, which it is important for us to be aware of. I know that I've got two elders in our forum here today from the Samoa community. It is not proper for me to talk about our ava while we have high chiefs. I'm saying high chief because I don't know, but I know they are two high chiefs. And I like to be able to give the opportunity to our high chiefs if they could share the traditional of how our ava is used in Samoa, because I know each and every one of us in the Pacific use the ava differently. Hence, if you remember me talking about ACTPIU, and some of the things that we picked up is our young ones and also our adults need to learn and share our cultures amongst ourselves. And kava, or ava, is very important. So I'd like to give the opportunity now to our high chiefs, if one of you could.
Thank you. Okay, my starting point is I'm very curious that this topic of the yakona is being discussed now and facilitated by two gorgeous, clever, brave women from the Pacific. Tonga, Fiji and Samoa, as our Reverend brother has shared, our origin of the kava are very similar, though there are differences, and I'll not go there. Last night I was privileged to be one of the three people that were asked to partake in the special ceremony. And if you noted, you especially, that I had to give God head chair of the kava, I checked it out before I acknowledged the Royal Highness and drank my kava. I guess I'm saying what the Whaiwhakau has shared today is pretty kind of fair, very, very, very similar to how the Samoans utilize and value kava. It's principles that of respect, of love, of generosity, plus a couple others. Paramount also in the Wha Samoa, as it is in the Whakatonga. The aspect of health, I guess, pops into here, because some of the men that abuse kava, and I guess speak from my experience, having watched my father's generation abuse, just as you shared. Of course, I couldn't do anything because I was only a kid. But I thought as I grew up, you idiots, you bloody idiots, how could you waste all night drinking kava and then go and sleep most of the day? Who's going to feed your goddamn families? Who's going to plant the food? Go. So I guess in that respect, it's not just the social, the health. We know the consequences. Do people get drunk out of it? Well, they don't, but they get drunk. And so if we understand the differences between alcohol and drugs, then we start to realize how really stupid the practice had got to. I appreciate our Fijian trying to find a word to explain and define your outrage just a minute ago. Suffice to say that I think some of the audience here would kind of ask the question, like I'm asking, was that abuser of Yakona one of your sons? Yes, he was. What the hell was Mum doing in his upbringing to ensure that he doesn't grow into someone that abuses it? Well, that's neither here nor there, and I'm not blaming you because people are socialized into life and then they grow up and make their decisions. I guess I'm saying there are a lot of factors that contribute, that determines people's use, and in this case, abuse of kava. It's the spiritual aspects of kava that I'm not defending its use in the cultural setting, but in the Wha Samoa, the kava, as the Waitakau said earlier, its spiritual value is enshrined in those principles of our cultures, especially Polynesian, Fijian as well. I'm sure, to the extent that it kind of is an expression. It's being used when a malanga arrives into your village. First thing that happens is that the kava bowl comes out, and nothing happens until the protocols of the kava is done. And so, in the course of that process, guess who is thanked first and foremost by the talking chief who should know his role? Yeah, thank you God for the privilege to meet our traveling party here and all the carry on. I guess I'm saying that was what the leader of the Samoan and Tokelauan Cardinal Piota Whenuu made reference to in his book about the value of kava. It's the spirituality of its processes and protocols in the Wha Samoa. I'll end there. I've got a few kind of ideas that I hadn't even think about these kind of things. So that it surprised me that it took the courage of 3 Polynesian women to actually make this discussion possible. Outrageously, it's our Fijian lady here that comes out strongly against it. I think you can't generalize, because not all cover drinkers and not all cultures abuse it, the drug. It needs to be understood more. What I said earlier about was he one of your sons, I shouldn't have said that. I was just kind of
One of my
very
brothers.
disappointed
One
that
of my brothers.
a son of a very intelligent, articulate lady like you have
Not my
been over
son.
the last couple
My
of
children
days.
drink alcohol, they don't drink kava, you know, they drink.
Regardless.
My brother is the one.
Yes, your brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's what I have to say. Thank you.
I guess the one thing that I wanted to remind everybody, when you sit in a forum of elders and leaders and representatives in the multicultural sense with the government, that's the hardest thing. And I guess when Stella did mention that we need to have a Talanoa, here, about the Kava, it is important, because whatever, the feedback is very important for us. Thank you, Oni. It is important for us to be able to see the outside. Hence, when you sit around here, it's not as if Talanoa Oceania Conference wasn't known out there in a community locally. They are aware of it. Getting the community to come out, you get it, like over face, that we should have Kava, we should have. But getting them together, to come together, to bring, we want to hear the positive, or what, your true reasons why you want to continue to have the Kava legalized and things like that. It's very difficult. I think we've had 3, meetings, and I was grateful because Siwa is another strong advocate of the Kava movement that they formed up too. But at the moment, I'm very grateful to be able to have this forum, because it gives us ideas, hearing, the elders and the leaders and the church leaders, hearing Oni's point of view in regards to it, is speaking from experience. I know there was one of the Tumen ladies too, family breakup, and things like that and it's a known fact to our Pacific Island communities. It's a known fact to our Pacific Island communities. Churches don't agree with it. They, most of the churches, are really slowly trying to support the government in whatever they can do in regards to the Kava at the moment. So we're open for that forum. We're open, share as much as you can with us. And by all means, take, my card, and then you can email through, because we've still got, sorry, Oni, but we've still got to do another request for an exemption. There was a paper that came out from ACT Health, and in it, what it says, the exemption will only be allowed for an extract from the Kava roots of the plant, the Kava plant. We sat down and I said to the pharmacist, we don't have, the Kava roots here. We only have the powder. If we do have the plant, it'll be up in Northern Territory, which is grown up there, Darwin, Perth, all those areas, but not in Canberra. Not in Canberra, not in Sydney. So, yeah, I'm fighting for a cause only for the fact that, it's traditionally, something of us, but like Orny said, it's also killing our people. It's really not a good thing, for us. But Pew represents the whole of the community, and we have heard the voice of the community. And Orny, I have to tell you, this year's National Multicultural Festival, one of the churches, the Fijian Methodist Church, was there. And I was abused by one of the elders, they said, You are so rude because you just walked into our ground and asked our visitors to stand up and leave the kava bowl. But I had to do it because the guidelines, and we are the front line, with the government, represent the PI. And that whole kava bowl, all of the elders were sitting there, and then we specifically asked, please just do not allow the public to participate, only the community. So I have to walk in there, I excused myself, I sat down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Palangi, stand up please, remove yourself from the Kava Forum. And that was it. So you can see the dilemma that we're having at the moment, but it all went well at the end of it. We all make amends. I apologise to the elders for the behaviour that I made, but it was due to the, okay, sorry. Yeah.
Is that regulation a blanket regulation that covers celebration as well? Because I can see it from two sides. One is the social aspect where the social drinking is, and the other aspect, like the difference, like in the Samoans, you do the kava and that's it. There's no more sitting around and consume the thing until. So it's a blanket, a blanket cover.
Yeah, it's everything. We had our palemia last year. He came here. The High Commissioner of Samoa here actually supported the government law. And he said to me, Elena, the law is the law.
Okay.
So you have to respect the law. When we had the Samoa community hosted the palemia, our Prime Minister here, and as one of our elders spoke, traditionally, we have to, kava is always the thing that we have, and this is our palemia, but we didn't have that night. We didn't have it because we had to respect that. Yeah.
What you should do to prove to them it's poison, when an Australian diplomat comes to Samoa, tell us and we'll say the kava and we'll kill in the poison one.
We'll have to put that one down, eh? It's not going to be written. Okay. I have this young lady here, and then I have the face to come. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My name is Anna Soakai, and I'm a student at ANU. I think it's very interesting for me to hear the talk. Well, culturally, I'm against the law. Because I believe that if it's something to do with the culture, like welcoming the palemia, it's all right. But I also support the auntie from Fiji. The abusive use of kava, yes, it's true. But in terms of a cultural city, I don't think that we should ban that but I can't change the law. So, and another thing I want to add on, 3 strong ladies talking about this kava, and I found it interesting because I watched this video done by one of professors from BYU talking about how the Tongans come together in a kava group. Like this is in terms of abusive using of kava, and they have a toa, a girl serving the kava all night, 24/7. And that's the husbands or the fathers of the family. And the wives at home, they're angry, of course, that the husband's not with them. Or, that the husband is not at home. And what if we put the mothers together, or the wives, in a kava ceremony, and a guy serving the kava? Like, we should emphasize that if we want them to start.
But that happens too in Fiji. They have all the women drinking kava, where the men are over there, the women are over here, wiping it down, And it's frightening, it's really scary. In a country where they've got the army shutting down the church and everybody drinking kava. I mean, they should be going to God to do something about the situation they're in.
Yeah, so
covering women and men together, separate.
Yeah, so that's why I was in town. We don't drink kava, the women, but this is like a show that I'm talking about. And speaking from the benefits of the kava, the abusive use of kava, well, when I came to Australia, I went Doha, serving the kava to the men for the first time. And to see the benefits of this, like the Reverend mentioned before, this group coming from home, doing fundraising for, economically it is, of course, beneficial. And if we think of it that the husbands are giving out the money that should be used for family functions, it's a trade-off, because they will spend now and later on when they go home or do some other fundraising, they come to the same group doing fundraising for them. So I think it's beneficial. And also, me, when I sell the kava, of course, it gives me money. It helps me with my bills. So, yeah, focus on the negative sides of it, but there needs to be a real cost-benefit analysis of this kava. But yes, it's right. There should be some discipline